Welcome back to the top 5 LEGO Castle MOCs of the month. Today we're going to be taking a look at my 5 favorite medieval MOCs that were made in October 2023. Without any further ado, let's get into the list. At number 5 we have the medieval Cottage by Ghostlypip. This lovely little scene depicts cottage life with its inhabitants going about their daily chores like sweeping the path and hanging laundry out to dry. The MOC is set up on a simple but nicely detailed freeform terrain, and the cottage itself has a ton of color that really draws the eye. The foliage climbing up the house also really helps this. I love how much detail they were able to get into such a small scene without making it look sloppy. You can check out more of Ghostly's MOCs over on Instagram, linked below. Next up at number 4 we have Tanner Snow back with another MOC, and I have to say he has improved his wall detailing a ton since the last time we saw his work. I absolutely love this slight angle he achieved on the wall here. Also, his clever use of binoculars and a coffee cup, both in white to add more details to the snow, is really creative. But again, the real triumph here is his stonework on the wall. The small scale of the MOC really allowed him to get the most out of his parts collection. It really goes to show that making smaller MOCs can actually lead to a better end product. I think he's also found a pretty good balance between studs and tiles on both the wooden walkway and the wall. That can be a kind of tricky thing to get right, but I think the balance is here. Overall, a lovely little castle scene, but my only real critique would be his staging is a little plain. Some more dynamic posing and positioning of the minifigs would have really elevated this MOC to a whole nother level. Go check out Tanner's MOCs over on either his Flickr or Instagram, linked below. Next up in third place we have the Troubadour MOC by the Brickbrotherzz. I am a massive fan of Brickbrotherzz MOCs and style, so I'm so glad to feature them here. They are the absolute masters of composition, and this MOC is no exception. The scene is so lovingly crafted in a way that guides your eye throughout it as if you were watching a movie. The width of the MOC, thinning out the higher you go, really exemplifies this in my opinion. Your eyes are drawn from the top of the round tree limbs down to the minifigures running from the gate. Also, I briefly mentioned how important minifigure staging and positioning is, and this MOC is a great example of that. If these minifigures had different face prints or were not posed in the same expressive manner, then the MOC would not be nearly as good. Don't get me wrong, it would still look great, but it wouldn't be the exact same. Those minifigures really do help sell the scene. This is such a wonderfully detail-packed MOC. If you like this MOC and haven't seen their others, please go check them out on both Instagram and Flickr, linked below. At number 2 we have the Bridge of Solitude by Louisofnutwood. Lewis's style can be best described as polished. Everything from the bridge to the trees is just so consistently detailed. It's also all in the same style. That's something that people kind of miss sometimes, I think. Sometimes MOCs will have certain parts that are more detailed than others, or just have a completely different vibe from the rest of the MOC. With this one though, you can tell everything is done from a very intentional perspective. It's also done with a lot of experience, which helps. I think his MOCs are able to hit this level of consistency due in part to the limited color palettes that he uses. With there only being 6 or maybe 7 colors depending on how you look at it in the entire MOC, he's able to let certain things pop, like the dark red of the tree's leaves popping against the black trunk, or the light bluish gray bridge protruding out of the dark bluish gray mountain. The limited colors really do serve him well in my opinion. If he had a bunch of noisy foliage or flowers on the ground, it would distract from the gray bridge and would take away from the simple beauty of the dark red leaves. His choice of less saturated colors is clearly intentional and makes his builds stand out rather than the color of his builds. Go check out Louisofnutwood on both Instagram and Flickr, linked below. And finally at number 1 we have the Pumpkin Towers by Kristel. This is a spooky Halloween castle habitat build that has completely blown me away and showed me what you can do with habitat builds. So if you're unfamiliar with habitat builds, they are small vignettes that generally feature a small scene with a minifigure. They're commonly stacked together with others to create a larger MOC or collaboration. This MOC has absolutely crushed that format, and I can't get over how cool the composition of this MOC is. You have more standard habitat builds near the bottom with some skeletons and a jack-o'-lantern. This bottom layer creates somewhat of a courtyard for the castle. While the top layers move more into a regular castle build, the bottom courtyard layers mixed with the top layers really helps sell the idea that this is a full castle MOC while still just being small habitats combined together. The detail that really ties the whole MOC together to me is the star 1x1 bricks that are used throughout the habitat to give the impression of both depth but atmosphere. Without this simple addition, I think the towers would start to become lost in the background. Seriously though, this MOC has opened my eyes to the possibilities that habitat MOCs can bring, so kudos to Kristel for creating such a stunning display. Please go check out her work on both Instagram and Flickr, linked below. And that concludes the top 5 best castle MOCs of October 2023. Please go check out all the artists featured in today's video, and if you want to enter to be featured in November's video, please send me a DM on Instagram, linked below. Thank you for watching.